Good evening, everybody. Derek Michaud here. And it's time to go flush in the pocket. No solid 10 pins, no solid 8s. Randy Peterson, you're okay. It'll be all right. Everything here is flush in the pocket. Hopefully, everybody is having a great Sunday. It is National Football League championship game day. You have the AFC and NFC championship games. So if your team is in the hunt for Super Bowl, then I wish you luck. Hopefully they win. And so I'm just sharing this right now. And let's see what happens. So in this episode, we are going to be talking about the Tournament of Champions. The Tournament of Champions is coming up whenever it comes up. And, last week we were talking about the U.S. Open. This week we're going to be talking about the Tournament of Champions. What I want to do real quick. Yes, scratching somebody's nose is so attractive. What I want to do is put this in some bowling forms and go from there. And then we will be talking about the Tournament of Champions. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at Flush in the Pocket. Like the page. And also, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. That would be awesome as well. So, okay. Shared to 1. We're gonna just go ahead and go straight to pba.com. And if you're in this chat, then feel free to send me a message. Going to pba.com right now. The U.S. Open is underway. So, I mean, the U.S. Open is next Friday. Hold on, next Saturday, I believe they're doing match play. And then the finals tomorrow. The finals are next Sunday. So I guess what they're doing for match play, or they're taking 9 bowlers and they're cutting them, I believe, to the top 5. So that's what I've heard. So that is going to be cool. So that is next Saturday at 4 p.m. And then, of course, Sunday at 2 is the U.S. Open finals. And then, so what's going to happen every episode from next Sunday on out, going to be recapping the week's event. So if the U.S. Open was next Sunday, we're going to be talking about the final 5, and then we're going to be talking about, of course, the winner. Would love to interview the winner. So hopefully, maybe someday down the road we can do that. So, and coming up later on Flush in the Pocket, we have also maybe a episode that has nothing to do with bowling. When we have a guest here on Flush in the Pocket, or I should say, when I have a guest on Flush in the Pocket, as you noticed with Andrew Pfeffer, the guy that has Bowling with the Pfeff, what I like to do is I want them to throw 12 strikes. So we're going Flush in the Pocket. So I'm going to ask them 12 questions. And just whatever question. It could be whatever. What's your favorite food? It won't be anything inappropriate, like anything like that. But what's your favorite food? What's your favorite movie? What's your go-to? Whatever. Anything could be anything. Okay. And so coming up, we might have an episode that has nothing to do with bowling, and just gonna ask this particular person 36 questions. That's a 900 series. So Flush in the Pocket. There you go. So right now we are looking at looking for the Tournament of Champions roster. And the tournament notes. Let's see. View players. Let's see if we could do this. Okay. Now, this is the roster for the Tournament of Champions. And I know that you can't see what I'm seeing and whatnot, but I think I might also put up. There's that. There's something. All right. Here's what the Tournament of Champions is. Obviously, it's a tournament of champions, all champions, meaning, well, now it's all champions. But way back in the day, they had the Tournament of Champions in Fair Lawn, Ohio at Riviera Lanes. Okay. That's where they're having it this year, and it was a tournament that was only professional national title holders, PBA bowlers that have national titles. So you had guys like Norm Duke, you had Dave Traber when he qualified. You had, anybody who won a title. And way back in the day, it was all done on TV. Now they have extra frame. They used to have extra frame and online stuff. But way back in the day, if there was a PBA title on the line, it was televised. Okay. Whether it was taped, like so the Japan Cup or whatever, it was televised. And I cannot remember. It was a 48 game tournament. I do remember that. And so 48 games, 6 rounds of 8 games of bowling. Okay. So you had the match play, the qualifying was 3 rounds of qualifying, 8 games each. That is 24 for those of you paying attention. Okay. And then match play was 24 games of round robin match play, which means everybody bowled everybody once except for position round. So if, Parker Bone bowled, Robert Smith already in the tournament, but Robert Smith is number 7 and Parker Bone is number 8, then I believe that's who bowled each other, because it was, one would bowl in the position round. Okay. So that's how that happened. So round robin match play, 23 bowlers 24 bowlers. Everybody bowls each other once. The only time somebody bowls somebody twice is in position round. Okay. So keep that in mind. Now, the Tournament of Champions went through some changes. Back in 1994, it went from Firestone to General Tire. It was the last tournament, the last TFC at Riviera Lanes until 2018, I want to say. Yes, 2018. And they went to Chicago. They bowled at, they bowled in, they bowled in Chicago. I can't remember the name of the bowling center. And they've gone everywhere. They've gone to Overland Park, Kansas. They have gone to Mohegan Sun. And I want to talk about that one for a second, because the Mohegan Sun, back in those days, you had 32 bowlers in the field, and it was all match play. It was best of 5 matches. So what happened was, if it was the top 26 champions, I believe, 3 senior players, 3 regional players, that made up the field of 32. And so that's all good. And Jason Couch won that the first year that they did that. Now, they had the Tournament of Champions at Mohegan Sun in 2002. And also in 03, and also in the 04-05 season, 06, 05-06, and 06-07. Tommy Jones was the last bowler to win the Tournament of Champions at Mohegan Sun. Just like Norm Duke was the last bowler to win the Tournament of Champions at Riviera Lanes, but he wasn't. That was General Tire. The tournament before that was the 1993, where George Branham became the first African American to win, or excuse me, I believe he won a major. I know that Willie Williams or Willie Willis. I apologize for messing that up, but he was also I believe he won a title on as a professional bowler as well. But so back in 2011, I know I'm jumping around, but back in 2011, the Tournament of Champions was the biggest field and the biggest prize fund because they opened it up to all champions in all levels of the PBA. Okay. 2011, you had that was the year that the prize fund was $1 million. First place in the Tournament of Champions was a cool $250,000, won by some guy who lives in the country, or he lives in Michigan now, but he's from the country of Finland. I can't remember his name. I'm going to take a wild guess and say it was Mika Koivuniemi. And actually, when I say I can't remember his name, I was trying to ooze the sarcasm out of there. I was trying to ooze that out of there. So there's that. So that, and he almost bowled 300. So here's something. Let's jump back a year. Let's go to 2010, because in 2010, the finalists were Rhino Page, Chris Barnes, and Mika Koivuniemi. Now, notice how I only mentioned 3 finalists. There were 4. You know who bowled the 4th? Who was the 4th bowler was? Kelly Kulick. Okay. Now, what did Kelly Kulick do to qualify for the Tournament of Champions in 2010? I don't even know to this day. This was 13 years ago. I don't even know to this day. Now, I know that I was talking about 2011, and then now I'm talking about 2010. There's a method to my madness here. Okay. Kelly Kulick was a champion on the PWBA tour, and she had 1 title on the PWBA tour. She won the Women's US Open. So if the PWBA, and I know they folded in 2003, they're back now, but they folded in 2003. If the PWBA had a Tournament of Champions, then fine. Kelly Kulick, she should bowl the Tournament of Champions. I am going to probably get a lot of flack, or maybe a little flack, for this, and say that Kelly Kulick's win at the 2010 Tournament of Champions was in no way, shape, or form remarkable. It wasn't impressive. She was just a bowler who beat Chris Barnes 267 to 195 or something like that. Okay? So, again, you want to give me flack for saying that? Go ahead. But remember, the First Amendment right is free speech. Kelly Kulick winning the Tournament of Champions was not impressive. It was not remarkable. It might as well have been Kelly Kaufman. You know what I mean? You know, I'm not taking away from how hard it is to win the Tournament of Champions, but maybe I am, because she just shouldn't have been there. Let's go back to 2011. Tom Doherty, Mr. 100, the guy who bowled 100, should not have been at the Tournament of Champions. Why? He's never made a TV appearance and he's never won a title. Now he can bowl the Tournament of Champions. Absolutely. He can bowl it now. But then, no, you don't belong there. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to be talking about bowlers who belong in the Tournament of Champions and bowlers who don't. Okay. So Tom Doherty had no titles. He had regional titles. That's how he got in. There were two bowlers on that telecast that did not have a national title at the time. I believe Andreas Gomez got his first national title after the Tournament of Champions. So I'm sorry if somebody, whoever's commentating, says, and here's non-winner bowling in the Tournament of Champions, Tom Doherty. Wait a minute. I thought this was the Tournament of Champions. Now, I understand people are probably going to say Tournament of Champions. Doesn't say Tournament of National Champions, just says Tournament of Champions. But here's the thing. The PBA National Tour is not minor league bowling. It's the big one. It's the big tour. It's the big stage. Think about it this way. Okay? If Mookie Betts, let's use Mookie Betts. Let's say he's not a Major League Baseball player right now. Let's say he's still in the minor leagues, which he's not. Not trying to take anything away from him. Let's say he's in the minor leagues and he wins the championship for his team. Okay. So he wins the minor league championship, whatever it's called. I don't even know if there is one, but let's say there is one. You are a minor league baseball champion. Okay. That does nothing for you in the major leagues except for people might look at you and, hey, he won, he's part of this championship team in the AAA and this, that, and the other. Cool. So that does not mean anything except for, picking you up in the Major League Baseball as far as, all right, let's sign Mookie Betts. We got to sign Mookie Betts. So Kelly Kulick, the women were allowed to bowl in the PBA starting in 2005, I want to say 4 or 5. And so Kelly Kulick should have had to win a PBA national title. Great. She got exempt in 2006, I want to say. 2006, she got exempt. She went to the tour trials, and which was exciting, go to tour trials, and the whole thing with tour trials, and top 8, get their card back or top whatever. But she should have won Odor Eaters Open to qualify for the Tournament of Champions. I don't know how she qualified. Maybe because, actually, you know what I do? She won a women's series event, something like that. So, okay, fine. But, whatever. Let's jump back to 2002 for a second. And I want to talk about this. Here's how the Tournament of Champions should be done. It should be, so again, no disrespect. It should be anybody who won a PBA National Tour title. If you've won a National Tour title, then come on down to the Tournament of Champions. Or, then if you don't want to call it a Tournament of Champions, if you don't want to just have PBA National Champions, then here's what you do. Change the name of the tournament. Okay? That's what you do. All right. So, in 2002, oh, what the heck? There's a bug on my screen. let's talk about that season. Now, the reason why are we talking about a season in the PBA when we're talking about the Tournament of Champions? Again, there's a method to my madness. The 2002 season started with the Wichita Open. You had guys like Patrick Healy. The top 5 for the Wichita Open were Patrick Healy Jr., Dave DeAngemont. They bowled the wild card winner that took on Walter Ray. And then you also had Chris Barnes and Ryan Schaefer. Now, the people who were non-champions or would have had to qualify for the Tournament of Champions that year were, of course, Patrick Healy Jr. never won on the national tour up until this point. Okay. Let's see. Dave DeAngemont hadn't won a title in a lot of years, but Dave DeAngemont, in my opinion, he had to qualify for that Tournament of Champions. But in my opinion, he should have been able to bowl. So what they did was it was like most recent champions. So if there was a bubble, so you had guys like Dave DeAngemont and Patrick Healy having to bowl their way in. Okay. Dave DeAngemont qualifies for the Tournament of Champions. Dave DeAngemont, he was, if I'm not mistaken, no, actually, I don't know who he knocked off, but I do know that in a few weeks before the Tournament of Champions, the Pepsi Open, which was in November, Randy Peterson's last title, Steve Jaros is on the show. Steve Jaros has to win or else he's not eligible to bowl in the Tournament of Champions. Why? Why is that? That's wrong. If Steve Jaros, if you are a PBA national card holder and you've won PBA titles, then I think you should have to bowl. Then I think you should be able to bowl the Tournament of Champions. So in 2000, let me just jump real quick. In 2000, Pete McCordick made the show at the Dallas Open, and he did it because he wanted to let his wife at the time watch him bowl in the Tournament of Champions. And I don't know what the criteria was back in 2000. Maybe you had to be a member. Just get your card back, which I think that's how it should be. If Randy Peterson, let me throw this name out there. If Randy Peterson wants to bowl the Tournament of Champions and he does not own his PBA card, he needs to get his card back, and boom, that's all he needs to do. That, in my opinion, if you want to bowl the Tournament of Champions, just get recertified as a PBA member and bowl the Tournament of Champions. Okay? Mika Koivuniemi in 2003. The Tournament of Champions was a week after he just did what he did in Windsor Locks, Connecticut, shooting 300, 277, 259. And so he qualifies for the Tournament of Champions. All right. So there you go. That's who, Mika should have always been in. He shouldn't have had to bowl his way in because he was a touring member at the time, and he was a champion. He won 2 titles. He won the 2000 Masters, 2001 US Open. Okay. So that's who I think should bowl the Tournament of Champions. So here's who's bowling in the Tournament of Champions. We're going to go through this. Dwight Adams. Okay. And we have Ramsey Basturo? Really? 2 guys that I don't even know who they are, and they're bowling in the Tournament of Champions? Why? I mean, I know they won. I'm sure they won regionals, but nope. Should have never happened. Nathan Bohr. I know who Nathan Bohr is. He did make a show back in when they were doing for the World Championship back in 2011. They did that whole eliminator thing where, all 4 bowlers bowl and the lowest score is out, and then they did it again, lowest score is out until you had your quote unquote champion. But Nathan Bohr, I do know who he is. I do not believe he is a national title holder. Again, that's a problem. All right. So then you have okay, so it's yeah. So Ramsey Basturo, yeah, okay. Nathan Bohr doing I don't know why they're doing last name first, but that's what they're doing. So Darren Booker, I don't know. Lenny Boris Jr. I do know who Lenny Boris Jr. is. I don't think he won a national title. AJ Chapman. No. Michael Davidson, no, should not be bowling. So already we have the bowlers that should not be bowling in the Tournament of Champions are Dwight Adams and then Ramsey Basturo. Sorry if I'm butchering that name. Nathan Bohr and Darren Booker should not be bowling the Tournament of Champions. Lenny Boris Jr. should not be bowling the Tournament of Champions. AJ Chapman, I do not believe has a title, a national title. I'm going to check that out right now. But if he doesn't, I never heard anything about him winning a national title. He should not be bowling the Tournament of Champions. So, okay. Michael Davidson, again, another one. Blake Demore? Who? You know what? Way back in the day, you had when the Tournament of Champions week was around, you knew who was bowling. Even before internet. Oh, okay. When they do the top 24, you would know every name. So Blake shouldn't be bowling. Patrick Dombrowski now. I am Facebook friends with him, but that doesn't mean anything. But I don't think he should be bowling. He doesn't have, unless he has a national title, he should not be bowling. So Patrick Dombrowski, Tim Foy Jr., yeah. Let's see. So Nate Garcia, I've heard that name, I believe, but no. Zach Genty, never heard of him. So let's go down the list here. John Gould, never heard of him either. How's that possible? Joseph Gruden. You had these guys. Tim Grundier. No. Now here's one, of course. Packy Hanrahan. He doesn't have a national title. Why is he bowling that? Why is it that there are, if you have 0 national titles, which if you're bowling on TV, chances are you're bowling for a national title. What they should do is have a regional Tournament of Champions. I'm not sure if they do or not, but I think they definitely should. Tony Johnson, not sure. Eric Jones, nope. Justin Knowles, nope. Matt Kuba, Ryan Lane, nope. Anthony Lavery Spar, Sean Lavery Spar. Good luck to both of them, but I don't know. And I get it. I'm probably boring some people, but hey, this is my podcast. If I want to go down the list, and I told you that's what we're doing. Wesley Lowe Jr. Now, Wesley Lowe Jr. was on Junior Gold just a couple of years ago. How's he bowling a tournament of champions? Maybe he won. Yeah, I mean, maybe he won a regional, but I mean, he shouldn't be there. I have not seen a bowler yet. Hold on, let me see. I've not seen a bowler yet. I do not believe. Nope. That should be there. So let's see. Eugene McCune's son, Kevin McCune. Okay. Nope. Again, shouldn't be there. Thomas McNeil shouldn't be there. Brad Miller should not be there. Anthony Nair, the Ginger Assassin, the fourth ever bowler to make the 7-10 split, should not be there. Juan Perez should not be there. Tim Pfeiffer, not be there. J.R. Raymond should not be there. Trevor Roberts. What? This is the Tournament of Champions. Hold on. This is the Tournament of Champions. Oh, okay. Wow. Whoa. Hold on. This is all PTQ? No. I'm sorry. Okay, that brings up another point. These are all friggin' PTQs. I didn't even realize this. Wow. And I want to mention that I did not realize this. Cortez Schenk is bowling this PTQ. No. God, my God. Roster report. No. There should never be. And I'm not taking anything away from these bowlers that are on this list. There should never be a PTQ for a Tournament of Champions. And if there are, so here's something. Let's say a tournament size, way back in the day, I believe the tournament size was 160. Full field, 160. So here's what you do. Let's say 220 people show up for the Tournament of Champions. Then they should be all PBA champions. You know who should bowl the pre-tournament qualifier? If you want, because they're not on tour anymore or retired or whatever, here's who should bowl the pre-tournament qualifier for the Tournament of Champions. Now, I'm probably going to turn some heads when I say these names, but let's do this just for fun. Okay? How many names are on here? How many names? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. So Zach is 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. There's like 45 here. So I'm going to give you my PTQ if you're going to do. And again, this is no disrespect. This is no, oh, well, hey, so-and-so, you retired or you're not a good bowler. We don't respect you anymore. We're going to put you in the PTQ. But actually, you know what? No, there should be no PTQ. The only time there should be a PTQ is if you have 160 champions and 220 show up. So those 60 bowlers should get, should get in the PTQ. Those got, who would show up for a PTQ? Let's do my PTQ here, right? Okay. And again, I know that I bounce around when I do these, and I apologize for that. That's just the way it is. It's the nature of the beast, if you will. Who should be in a PTQ? Let's say, and I know these are older guys, Scott Devers. Okay, if he is a four-time titleist on the national tour, PTQ. Ron Palumbi Jr., PTQ. Ron Williams, Dave Traber, Randy Peterson. Okay. Del Ballard. I don't even know if Del can bowl. I'm sorry. Let's no disrespect to Del. But guys like that should, Marshall Holman, even though Marshall's won, I believe he's won the Tournament of Champions before. I believe he won it twice. But if Marshall Holman shows up and says, "Hey, I want to bowl the Tournament of Champions," or tries to get in the Tournament of Champions, and the field's not full, then yeah, put him in there. The only time there should be a Tournament of Champions is if it's full, and or a PTQ is if it's full, and whatever. So what you do, let's say the field of the Tournament of Champions is 160, 220 show up. Then this is going to sound really weird. 40 get in, 20 get out. 200 player field, Tournament of Champions. Okay? That's exactly. So, you know what? Our field is full, but if you want to earn your way in, you got to bowl 8 games. And if you're in the top 40, you're in. Okay? That's when that is who should bowl the Tournament of Champions. All right, so coming up next week, to be determined. All right. And I don't even know. Next week, we are going to be recapping the U.S. Open. We're going to be recapping the match play of Saturday afternoon, I should say. And then we're going to, I'm going to pick a topic, and we'll talk about it on Sunday. The Bruins do not play next Sunday. So we're good to go. It's 7:00, barring whether or not company comes over or not. Now, coming up in 2 weeks, possibly. I don't want to say. There is a professional bowler who is on the docket for one of these episodes, and it's going to be fun. So let me put it to you like this: Parker Bowen III might be a guest. All right, might be a guest on an episode. Now, if Parker Bowen III was a guest on an episode, then here's how this would go down. So I would ask Parker questions like, what was your worst moment on tour? And I would, also, what is your best moment on tour? And then, of course, Parker would go flush in the pocket, 12 questions at the end. Another question would be something like, because his kids bowl, and actually they're all bowling the U.S. Open except for Sydney and Leslie. Justin's bowling the U.S. Open, and Brandon's bowling the U.S. Open, which I'm going to say this real quick, and then we're going to go. Brandon, I hate to say it, should get your card. He's that good. He's really good. So, I mean, bowls a lot as a junior bowler. I'd get your card, but that's just me. So yeah, it'd be a good time to chat with Parker Bowen. I got to write down some questions, and then we'll figure it out whenever it happens. And of course, we'll have possibly have Jason Murphy on an episode where we just talk about 3 games of bowling, just flush in the pocket. Not, you're not going to leave a pin. So 36 questions. So there you go. All right, everybody. Listen, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoy your night. And we'll be back next week for more Flush in the Pocket. Thank you and good night.